Alright, so I was on Twitter and unfortunately it bombed out. It was just dropping, not necessarily live success. So I'm back on YouTube. Now let's do another market update just to ensure we got everything we need together. Starting from dominant trend direction. It's going to be a turn to the downside. 512 suggests the same. 128 is also building into that. 32 minutes, it's a bit confusing because it's within the kill zone. So I'm not sure if it's just etching across to go down or trying to build itself up. So not exactly the best time to trade. And then 8 minutes is pretty useless. So basically, largely trying to get down, but 32 minutes we're unsure about. So going to the AI, let's see what it thinks. So this is the previous trade suggestion. It says that it was going to dip to a little gully and then start building up a little bit and then dipping down. So when I see these kind of trades, I'm not really excited about them because I don't like to have the lower lows too close to one another because basically it's quite high risk if you don't get out at the perfect time. So what I asked the AI to do is just to hang out until the bottom of the prediction came in and then open up a buy position. So that's exactly what happened, and now we're watching the price climb. But I got to make sure that I get out around the middle bit before it goes back down again. So therefore there's also an intelligent close that's attached to this, waiting to get out at the right time too. I was updating the AI model with the market structure. Eventually this is going to be automated. For the time being, I'm just beta testing. Beta testing is a nice way of saying watching your product fail and then having to go back and refactor and refactor and refactor. Until you win. Okay, so now that the market structure has been updated, I'm going to put the new forecast out and then open up a trade on it. So my objective for today is to open up a trade on every turning point according to the model forecasts, and then see at the end of the day how profitable or not the AI model was. So this is to take one step ahead towards automating the full process so that the trader doesn't have to show up to the trade desk almost at all, other than just to start it up. So far it's done all right. Okay, so now it's going through the trade forecasting process. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so I'll say that's not a bad suggestion. It's waiting for there to be a gully and then a step to the upside. I see we could have a turning point 9 over here, so I just want to get a forecast of what it thinks with turning point 9 in first before I open up this position. And this is what the markets is in the real world. It's not that exciting. To be honest, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of patience. But the reward is certainly worth it in the end. However, it's like watching watching the series Suits and then going to a real world court case and seeing how drastically different the two are. Alright, so still some continuation there. That's pretty good. And what I'm doing is I'm just loading up the orders on the back end so they get kind of preloaded in and wait for the initial moves to kind of get out the way. And then according to what they saw in the market, they'll open up in accordance to their prediction. So what I'm looking for here is a turning point 10. Alright, so just revisiting the kill zone on the 32 minutes. I see the price is not trying to break through, which is quite interesting. Should that be the case, then this second one seems to be a bit more accurate. I just want to go to my other model, other models, and give them a chance to predict. I've got around about 11 of these things, or more, because I refactor them and retrain them. But where I am right now is just saying which is the strongest contender of them all. Who's going to be the one that we lean in on to do the work? It's taken many months to get this thing going because it's needed to get into a position of a full pipeline. And to be honest, now that I've got the full pipeline, I'm a little bit afraid of it. Because if you fiddle with one thing, there's this downstream of surprises that can go wrong. Okay, right, that's definitely a 9. So we're just watching 20.10 get formed, which seems to be going to the downside. So let's see if we've got any open trades. And yes, we do. We just got one that's a delayed entry, and then a one prior to that. So even with these lower time frames, you just watch the support and resistances. Just as you do in the higher time frames as well. So that's why I've got the scan tool here. Looks like there's a turning point here at arc 4. The 1/2 going down. And that's interesting because I want to see if this third model is where it bounces. I've got the recent models as well that I think I'm interested to see what they have to say as well. So I'm just going to go get them to put out their predictions on this move. Okay, so pretty similar. Right, so it seems to have broken past threshold number 4. So we're going to see if it settles here at number 5, arc 5. I almost don't want to go to the higher time frames because although they give dominant trend direction, for example, now when price is at this the second threshold, it doesn't mean to say that it's going to just like drop from there. 32 minutes a bit clearer. But ultimately, the 30-second is in its own ecosystem. It's a nice little short that happened right there. Alright, so I've got my turning point 10, it seems. Okay, that looks pretty good. So basically it's recognized that it's come down. I don't really like the rest of the trade because we got quite a shallow higher low and then a lower high again. So maybe not something to action on, or alternatively update the AI with the next move and see if it's still consistent with that feeling. Looking for turning point 2 now. Before next prediction comes out. I'm going with option 2 as it's picking up the lower lows. I think perhaps option 3 today might not be the champion. I think it's actually the second model. Well, that's what beta testing is about, failing and learning. And the reason why this beta testing is happening is so that eventually I can have this automated. Predictions come out, positions open. Predictions come out, positions open. So I'm just testing to see whether or not it's a good idea for it to happen at every turning point, or if it should be more selective as to when to open or not. Right, there's that bounce. Let's get the next prediction. 32 will be turning point 2. Alright, so jumping back onto 32 minutes just to see. Alright, so it wasn't a confirmed turning point by the looks of it. Kill zone wasn't broken. Which means that there's going to be more sell action. I just want to get everyone else's opinion in terms of the AI models. See if they've got an idea of up or down next. Seems like an early turning point too happening down here. Oh, turning point 3. Wow. Unless that's a continuation from turning point 1 and turning point 2 hasn't formed yet. I think I'm going to go with that rather. So let me just take away turning point 2 and let me refigure turning point 1. So my question is that the transition? Or is that the transition? The move up? Alright, it seems turning point 2 just needed to crawl across a little bit further, which is good. Just using the Gantt tool to see how it all links together. Yeah, that makes sense. I just needed to etch across. It seems to be crawling. I'm surprised by that. This looked like a solid configuration, so let me just etch it across. Maybe it's got another few pips to drop. But as made mention to, we do have a downtrend unraveling. As the 32-minute broke down past the kill zone, I'm wondering if the 128 is just not kind of the be all and end all, just to watch and go with, because it does communicate what's happening, I think, overall, which seems to me as if we are getting into the comfort of this being a confirmed turning point, and the market is trying to head down. Loads of trades. Back to the beta testing server. I suppose it has to be a downtrend here because the amount of space left in the cycle. Seems to be crawling bit by bit. Trying to get this turning point 2 to land so we can do our next forecast. The limitation with these models is that they don't get to see the higher frame, so try not to get too involved with them as to what direction to open up the trade with, because I'd prefer if they did that on our behalf. But when there is a kill zone forming on the high time frames, for example, and there's a strong direction to either up or down, in this instance it's down, then it doesn't necessarily get to see what's happening on the higher frames, and that's what I'm hoping to build throughout the rest of the year. It's a multifaceted platform. So right now I'm just testing the different models just to see what the operation's like. I've got the data pipeline, I've got the different models that I can execute trades on directly from the inside of the platform. This is very basic by choice for the time being, as I have like where turning points form is kind of obvious, more or less, because of the fixed size market structure. So what I mean by that is, for example, in this, there is a certain amount of space that turning points can form within the market structure. So once you see that happening over and over again, you get a general idea of where they're going to form or where they're not going to form. And for these reasons, I don't necessarily need all the tools on that platform to ascertain where that's all going to happen, right? So the scan tool is enough. It offers the support and resistance. It offers the shape. I don't necessarily need to see the cycle start, the cycle end, the quadrants, all that kind of stuff. HOs down the line, it becomes ingrained. It's like riding a bike. And so where I want to go with this is to stack it up and get different time zones, different time frames, then have the trainable data go into a data set so it gets holistic understandings of what's happening on the higher frame as well as the current as well. And to get there, there's also a road to be built, and that road is to get the ease of the market structures built up, and then that aid with the data capture for the multiple time frames at the same time. And then once that's then in the databases, which is a fancy way of saying the Excel documents or the training sheets. So once that's built up in the databases, then it can have the multiple time frames at once. So that's the limitation. But to get to the multiple different time frames, I want to build a AI model that correctly identifies the highs and the lows according to a trained data set, which I'm not too far from getting. And but it just takes a lot of time and a lot of coding, a lot of backing, and a lot of forwarding and that kind of stuff. Okay, so I think we finally got our 20.2. All right, so I think turning point 3 is coming. I went with option 2 over here. Looks like it's a decent structure. Yeah, so I got another prediction that's come out. I like the second one. So the second one seems to be winning today. Well, there's actually quite a bit of agreement between the first and the second. Almost all three are in agreement. So it's about choosing the right timing. So I think I'm going to go with the first one because I want to catch that peak. And then I wanted to short down to that little trough over there. So I press 1 because 1 corresponds with the first model. And then basically the order is sent through to the back end. And why that's so significant is because by it doing that, I don't necessarily have to take the weight on my shoulders of opening up a position myself. So say for example, I think it's going to go up. And what I do is I open up a position like over there. So I put my stop loss over there and maybe I say it's going to go up and double click on the opener. Whoop, I need to allow trading. Okay, cool. That's now set. So when I do that, the weight of that position is on my shoulders because I've got questions such as, is my stop loss too close? Did I get in at the right time? Should I have waited? Did I have everything down correctly? Like there's just such a heavy pressure on me to open up that position. So every time it goes against the direction in which I want it to go and I'm experiencing more of a loss, I take that loss personally. So that, for example, as that goes down, let's find the one I opened up. So this is the one I've opened up manually. You can see that the others are in profit, except for the first one. I think the first one wasn't so good, but basically the other ones make up for it. So that one else nullifies it out, and then these two brings in the profit. So the manual one that I've just opened up now, and how that you can tell the difference between them, is that this one's got to take profits. The other one's got a intelligent take profit, so it works in line with the AI forecasts, whereas this is a fixed one, and it says it's got to get to 108,000 to close. So as the price moves there, and every time it bobs and it gets less and it gets more and it gets less, like my emotions move alongside it, because I was the one who went and opened up the trade, put the stop loss in, and personalized it, because it's opened in line with the way in which I think the right moves are. And so one of the big pluses, the big benefits of having the AI open up the trades on our behalf, is that weight doesn't crush you or crush myself as much, because as you can see, it's opened up 3 trades over there, and they're all in profit, and I'm super comfortable with that. I'm not as comfortable, but I'm way more comfortable with that as I am there being a loss at the top, because I didn't necessarily open these trades myself. It was the AI that did it. So just that crushing pain of trading is now offset to the AI. And because it's done with intelligent trading, intelligent architecture, and all of that beautiful stuff, the way in which I feel is a lot more positive. So it means that I get to trade more, because I don't necessarily feel the push factor away from the markets to give up, for example. So over here we got a minus 200, and that's a trade I opened, even though I thought it was going up. So this is the trade that hurts the most, because I thought there was a confirmed turning point just by the shape that it had over there. I was wrong, and I got to sit there glued to the screen. Like, I'm just talking, typically speaking, just going like, oh my gosh, was I right? Was I wrong? Please save me. Get me out of at least break even. I want this loss, and all that kind of mental turmoil. And that's something I don't understand. There's the stop loss gone. So I immediately, to be honest, feel much better that stop loss is gone, and that my winning trades created, as you can see, by the AI, so there they are right there, can continue to build up the profit. And I don't necessarily need to have to worry about them closing. They close on their own, right? So I can walk away, I can go have dinner or go for a run or go to gym, and I know that these will be managed on the back end by the code that I've written to code on their own. And the only threat would be that my computer would go to sleep, for example. However, that doesn't necessarily need to be a concern when this goes onto a server. So VPS or VPN, and whilst it's running all the time, it can just open and close themselves. Which is incredible. So I've got, so whilst I'm beta testing and logging, I see here that there are some associations of where they link to. And so where it says here magic and it says here 2, that 2 represents which model to go with. And I got to say that my normal favorite model is being turning point 3, or sorry, generally the third model seems to have been kind of beaten by the second model today, which is pretty cool, because it tells me that there is some contest instead of there being one predominant model, which can be quite disappointing if it doesn't work out. So it's worthwhile keeping the different architectures going kind of head to head to see which one prevails. And that's the whole point about this beta testing, and seeing where to focus on when getting the automation of this unraveled. And yeah, it's just way more peaceful. It's such a good feeling not having to take it all on. And that's been the biggest takeaway for me. That's not having that weight on one's shoulders, taking that loss personally, and rather having the AI do its best and then work on the AI to do even better, and have the trades be managed by it. So the next turning point's in. So I get its particulars. Right, so my champion model again today has been model number 2. So I'm just going to keep on using that. Which is kind of surprising to me because I thought 3 was going to be the winner. But 2 definitely is. I mean, that's so funny to me. Is that 2, 2, 2, and 2 are all in profits. And then and then the model that isn't 2 is at a loss. It just goes to show you who the alpha is in the scrapyard today. The alpha dog, and that's the second model. So when I see if we got it in the pipeline, and that's the beauty, is that it gets managed on the back end really well. So because it got order IDs, each individual trade that gets open gets managed individually. When it gets open from an entry point, and when it gets closed on the closing of it as well. So that's real trade management right there. Each individual trade having its open and having its close. in line with its own requirements and its own needs. It seems it wants to turn around here, so I'm hoping that, and that's the other thing, is I don't necessarily want to get overly involved with the opening and closing of the trades myself. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. There we go. That looks good, right? So model 2 was the answer. I went with model 3, ran into some unfortunate outcomes, but it seems that model 2 is the one we wanted to go with today. I mean, as I say that, price tends to want to go the other direction. But I did quite like the way that the $700 looked. So I'm not going to get involved, and that's the point I want to make, is that whether it goes in the direction of profit or goes in the direction of loss, I don't want to open and close them manually. I want the system to do it, and that's why the beta testing is so important. It's just to see, can I be hands-free? Is it better if I am hands-free? Or do I need to be a fusion between normal forecasting and getting involved? And I can quite honestly say that I thought I'd have to get involved more, but it just seems that I've been choosing the wrong model to get behind this week, where I should have leaned in to model 2 instead of the complexity of model 3. Because when you see the architecture of these models, it is insane, the level of processing that they go through and the vigorous processing that they go through. So I gotta say, I'm rather satisfied today with this middle model here, which I didn't expect. It's something I'm going to keep an eye on for the unraveling of the week. Alright, I'll give it 10 more minutes on the live stream and then I'll jump off. So if there are any questions, feel free to ask them. Depends on where you're from. It seems overall we've got a turning point here on the 2048, which means it's going to be downtrend all the way down. I've called this for a few days now, and that's it. Like, almost showing this right now makes me feel like I'm regressing, because I'm not here to do the work. The process and the machines need to do the work. And sure, I can get these predictions correct time and time again. The 32-minute was a bit difficult because there was consolidation. At any time there's consolidation, there will be struggle. So I'm glad that we got some confluence, but I'm almost thinking that anything underneath the 128 chart isn't something that I'm interested in viewing, as the dominant trend direction is basically what we want to transpire. And it seems like the 128 is the one to lean in on. So yeah, so what needs to still happen with the AI models is that I get the 128. All right, so I just want to see if I need to update this forecast. I said it was there, but it actually moved out to be there. So this takes precedence because we're working on a higher frame. Why'd you move? I think I hit my scroll wheel and it kind of tried to lock the price to the, whatever that's called, the y-axis, the price column. Alrighty. Yeah, so I'll be working on, okay, the point that I was speaking about is that, yeah, so it's just dominant trend direction from the 128, which I think through this beta testing is the only chart I'm going to look at from the lower time frames. Yeah, so the 2048, the 512 and the 128, which is quite interesting because building in the 128 for the dominant trend direction on the 30 second. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's going to be easier because it's less sporadic. So less, I guess it makes it more attainable. But something I need to think about in terms of the kind of the micro moves within the 128. As what I mean by that is that there is moves within this environment. So it can come up like there, for example, whereas the 30 second will want to see that it's heading down like that. But I suppose it's really up to the AI models to figure out. Yeah, and that's the idea. Is to achieve financial freedom is not to have to go through all of this stuff. It's to just feed the AI models this so that it can learn accordingly. And again, today has helped me with that because I can now go back in relation to the AI models, just providing a dominant trend direction on the 1 to 8, which is a lot less work than working with like the 8 minutes, because there's all these little bumps and nooks and cracks and these things that just, yeah, so it goes up and then slams down and then up and then down and then nothing and then down. It's not great. So thanks to everyone who's kind of hanging out during these long form market environments. It's not necessarily fun all the time. Just like I said, watching Suits and watching real lawyers inside of a courtroom, it just isn't the same thing. Suits obviously being that sitcom series. But yeah, this is what live markets is about. It's slow, it's frustrating, and so on. And that's why again and again, I've said that I'm working on the 30-second chart so that there is more opportunities coming through. And as we saw a little bit earlier, we ran into a sequence of profits. Now, there's some of the newer positions that I've opened, which are still looking to build out. And again, on that, I don't necessarily focus too strongly about the near result of that, because it takes tens of minutes for them to close. So anywhere between half an hour and over an hour, which means, again, I don't necessarily need to babysit them, be here to close them. They'll just close themselves one session at a time. And it takes the pressure off of me to keep on having to look at the trade, or if I'm out, I keep on checking my phone and whether or not I'm happy with this profit, or if I should close later on, or if I just had left it, I would have got so much richer and all that kind of stuff. And again, that's why the take profit is empty. It's because the intelligent close, the mechanism within the system, will do it for me, so that first, like, so we got $400 plus building now. The major pains of this I can offset, and it hurts taking a loss many times before. So now when I see a red line, this minus 35, that then is not really a concern, because I look at when it was open. So that was open around about 4 minutes ago. And I know what happens in the next half an hour. It doesn't really matter, because this will automatically close 40 minutes from now. So if it's red in the now moment, it doesn't affect my emotions. And the big thing about trading is psychology. It's the psychology of trading that makes or break a trader. So I've now offset the worst part of the psychology into a mechanized system to save me from wanting to quit trading and go to bed with a frown on my face because there was a loss of a day in one of the cases, where now intelligent models are forecasting the future of price action. It's putting in profitable trades, as you can see right there. Evidence is right there, and then managing it on my behalf. Therefore, the psychology is sorted. The science of the forecasting is sorted because I've got AI models forecasting for me. And then the trading management is also sorted because all of it's a science more than it is an art. So trading's more than a science, the psychology is an art, and then the charting, forecasting future of price action is it's a balance between an art and a science. So where there's science, I've offset it, and where the art of trading has been required of me, I've put that into the process so it takes me out of the equation. And again, right now with the beta testing, what I'm looking to do is to see which model is the strongest, make that model even stronger, and then whilst I get further funding, because I'm seeking further funding so that I can get deeper levels of automation involved, and done so on a high standards, not just like finicky stuff, and that takes focus and progress and time and all that kind of good stuff. So once I get into the deeper realms of that, then the charts will be intelligently set up, and then the already pipeline that exists will have a really quality input so that the calculations downstream will be as great as they can be. And already right now, as we've seen, things are looking pretty good. So it's just about scrubbing and optimizing the front end, because I've spent over 2 years now working on the back end, and thankfully the results are showing themselves. As we can see, we're going up to $600-700 in profit, which is quite beautiful to witness live. All right, so that's the closing of today's testing. Some valuable lessons learned, and I get to walk away, let the trades manage themselves. The bottom line being that my surprise today came from the second model being the champion of the lot, and dethroning Model 3, which seemed to be the most promising one yesterday. I might swap out Model 1. I'm a bit disappointed in it. It's got some really advanced architecture on the back end. So perhaps what I'll do is just refactor it a little bit, maybe before I drop it, to replace it with a different model. I've got one in mind. I retrain it with some different parameters, and then we'll put it to the test. And if it underperforms, drop it, bring another one in to contend. All right, guys, thanks to everyone who has jumped into the stream. Appreciate your company. Markets are long and boring and quite shitty. So getting questions and getting messages, as I have here, from Seba from Uruguay. And yeah, it makes it worthwhile. It's just nice to connect. So I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Just to make it clear for anyone who's unsure of whether or not I'll be on X or on YouTube, I'll go to YouTube because the stream rate on X, it keeps dropping the frames. And that's super frustrating for anyone, and super frustrating for me watching the frames being dropped and not seeing that live feed. So YouTube seems to be stronger, so I'll be sticking with YouTube. So yeah, this will be the place we hang out in, and we'll check that out tomorrow. Thanks again, Seba. Great to contact with you. I don't have many friends from Uruguay, so I'm great to be really good to get to know you better, man. Ciao for now.